This episode is sponsored by Good Mead's Emporium, found on Etsy.com.
Look, I'm not entirely sure why you keep paying this gym fella a monthly fee. Instead of paying to go hang out at his place and look at heavy equipment being moved from one place to another by sweaty humanoids, come by Good Mead's Emporium. Over at Good Mead's Emporium, we've got miniatures and models which will absolutely make you feel fulfilled when you purchase, paint, and play with them. I guarantee you that painting six-pack abs on is infinitely easier than sculpting them out of your flesh. Head on over to Good Mead's Emporium on Etsy. New releases monthly. Hey, forget about it. Yeah, they've got
on their show.
They've got a Patreon. Anyway, you
plug.
At the top,
good old Stan
yes.
Carbon.
So, but plugging aside,
Told you it was a prostate.
You arrive.
50 Feet of Rope, a tabletop podcast of good friends throwing bad dice. Your cast: Adam plays Crow, who is a swashbuckler rogue.
I am hoping you have a story that you can tell me.
Brian plays Pix, who is a wild magic sorcerer.
I feel you're so cute, but I also want to vomit.
Chris plays Scraps, who is an alchemist articifer.
This is not scientific.
Josh plays Wally, who is a divination wizard.
Study. Magic.
Lindsey plays Salt, who is a gunslinger fighter.
Yeah, bro, you just gotta catch the cosmic wave just right.
And featuring Julien as the dungeon master.
I take deep, visceral pleasure in informing you that this time you do not get sneak attack.
This is Campaign 1, Shanties of the Astral Sea, a custom Spelljammer homebrew game developed by Julien himself. Episode 11, Seeking the Apostate. After finding safety in Thessalia's homeworld, the adventurers learn of an apostate who keeps a strange relic. Except the apostate lives deep in the jungle, fraught with danger. As a favor to Thessalia, the adventurers face the jungle at the possible cost of their own lives.
Thank you, Lovis. This was most generous of you.
Oh, you sound like me. That's actually very eerie.
I'm sorry.
No. It's pretty cool. Can you do other voices too?
Oh yes. Who would you like to hear?
Oh, do Thessalia. Do Thessalia.
I do a perfect imitation of her elephant laugh with a.
Oh, perfect! I've never. That's amazing. What a party trick. Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
But seriously, thank you. This was very generous.
It's of no consequence. It's a trifle. It's a trifle. It means nothing to us.
Then give us more of them.
Yeah, no, seriously though, thank you.
Yes, you're most welcome.
That was really awesome. Also, Scraps, maybe in the future we should coordinate our lines of research so that we're not both, I'm just saying.
Doing the pearl thing.
Yeah, but I'm glad you got me a pearl because I've been thinking about that on and off.
So you both return to the longhouse where other people who were not served breakfast by Thessalia herself are beginning to eat. And then, of course, Pix and Thessalia do join you, having finished their little girls' night out. At this point, Thessalia approaches you all and just kind of looks over at Lophus for a second, who shakes his head at her, and then she kind of does this, and he shakes his head again, and just, I was hoping that all of you would do me a favor while you're here. Thessalia, this is not for outsiders. Uncle, but just, they can help. They're really talented, and they're strong, and they're...
Is this about the apostate?
Thessalia, you already told her.
She told us nothing.
I did, I mentioned it because, maybe they can go and help, and no one else is willing to do it. Thessalia, that was not your place to do it, to do anything at all. You're meant to just be safe, go out and have your adventures and not trouble yourself with those who dabble in darkness.
Excuse me.
Yes, Ms. Pix.
Sorry to interrupt. I kind of know how to deal with kind of dick father figures. Thessalia,
father figures.
as your
Don't worry, she's got it just a two. Ignore that.
Thessalia, as your friend, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need to do? What do you need us to do?
There was this. Okay, I was talking to Scraps before, and I realized that he was saying some stuff about, like, all right, I'll admit it. Scraps, I looked at some of your books when you weren't in your room, and I know that you're trying to figure out stuff about, like, living tissue and dead things and giving life to death.
You understood that from the writings?
I mean, kinda. It's a little weird because, like, I'm more about listening to the inner rhythm of the planet and sort of the way that the roots of the world and the way that fungi kind of can stretch their myconid fibers, like, for miles in every direction, and the way that all of those things bind together to create one thing, and that really ultimately is a sigil of power that exists beyond the mortal world. But, like, that's neither here nor there. I just kind of noticed that some of the things you had written were sort of trying to understand why some things are alive and other things aren't alive. But
I didn't write those things, but yes.
Oh.
Yes, tell me.
Thessalia, this really is, I must say, inappropriate. These are outsiders.
Thessalia's done us, like, a whole bunch of, like, really solid favors, and we needed a place to, like, come and hide out, because, we have some trouble, and, and she was like, yeah, come home with me, and we're just trying to repay the favor, because, like, we'd be all dead without her.
Lovis, a life may be at stake. I need to know what Thessalia has to say about what she read in those journals.
Make a persuasion check.
As Scraps is saying this, Salt stands up and he pulls out his leather gloves and snaps one on and goes, all right, well, if nobody else is going to check the prostate, I'll do it, I guess.
What?
What?
The prostate.
Confused.
That's what we're talking about here, right?
The apostate. Apostate.
Not a prostate.
Not the prostate.
Oh, my God.
I have already been checked. I have done my yearly. I'm good. You have claws, and that would be terrifying. You rolled a 3 on your persuasion, and he goes,
nice. I am clumsy and ineffective, and that's good.
I appreciate that a life might hang in the balance, but the forces that the apostate... Listen, he could do terrible damage, and I simply will not allow Thessalia to go running off into some dangerous scrape simply because she thinks that she can return. It's not important. Thessalia, you are forbidden.
What if she stays here?
This is none of your concern. None of you. I simply...
We said we'd help, so we're gonna help. Like, you literally can't stop us from helping. We're just gonna do it anyways. Like, if you say not to, we'll just, like, go and do it anyways and, like, have to figure all this stuff out ourselves. And, like, that's a lot of work. So maybe you can just tell us, because we're doing it because we owe Thessalia one, and she seems to think that it's important to you guys, and, like, no big...
Maybe you should stop thinking of Thessalia as a girl. She's grown up. She makes her own decisions. She goes into battle with us, and you're treating her like she's just a kid. Maybe you should start treating her like she deserves to be treated.
Yeah!
She goes into battle with all of you?
Yeah, I was going to say, does she?
Yeah! She absolutely does!
She's my battle sister.
Woo! Battle sisters!
Thessalia looks at you, Pix, and you see her stand up a little bit straighter, and she turns to Lovis, and she goes, if I feel like telling them that's my business, you're not in charge of everything I do. You might be high priest for the Great Reclaimer, but if you've decided that you're hands off in this, well, then I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, because I've got a battle sister, and I didn't know that was a thing until just now. But I have it. So there.
Salt claps.
And Lovis just kind of, like, his brow furrows, and he, his trunk is flicking to and from. If any harm comes to her, I will. He stomps away. Thessalia turns back to all of you. She goes, oh man, that was a rush. Ooh. Okay. Ooh, that felt good. Is this teenage rebellion? Oh,
Nah.
okay. I'm like 60. All right. So, we had this really important artifact that was entrusted to our order, and we had this high-ranking member of the order who was obsessed with what it could do, and he kept talking about how he wasn't satisfied with the idea that death comes to us. And I don't really get it. It's kind of complicated, but I know that it had to do with the cycle of life and death, and he thought he could break it, but the artifact isn't for that, so we declared him an apostate because it was a perversion of what it's for. And I just know that he knew a lot about like life and returning things to life that were not meant to be alive. And also, the artifact belongs with the order, and if I brought it back, I'd be kind of famous and it would be kind of a big deal. So it's a little bit selfish, but really, Scraps, I do think it could be kind of what you're looking for. And just, I don't know, I thought it was a good idea.
A little bit selfish is kind of, I think, what this crew does.
We have to find that artifact. We have to help you, Thessalia. That's what's most important here, is helping you.
Well, I mean,
and also getting the artifact.
Yeah.
I feel like you're sending me some confusing messages, but okay.
Have to help you.
Okay.
He's super horned up for the artifact. He's just trying to, assuage his conscience.
All right then.
Thessalia.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I know that when he was still part of the order, he had a study. He didn't live in the village. He was kind of a recluse. He was kind of more like you, Wally. Like most of us here are tuned into the natural way of things, and we just kind of intuit it through the way that we interact with the forces of the world and read the signs on the wind. But he was like kind of an academic. He did more like reading and stuff like that. And I know that he had a study, and I know where the path is, but I've never actually been there. I just know which way it is.
I have one really important question about all this. So he has some sort of magical artifact, correct?
Yeah.
And he's using it in a way that he's not supposed to use it, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Does this have to do with butt stuff?
Yeah,
what?
The prostate.
Well, yeah, exactly. The prostate, and he's using it because there's this girl, back at the tower, and sometimes she would take, magical items like wands and rods, and they use them in a, and then I just want to know if it has to do with butt stuff, because that's fine, but I just want to know ahead of time.
I have a more important question than that.
What gets more important than this? Is he using the artifact for butt stuff?
I want to be perfectly clear. Apostate means someone who has decided to abandon a religious order that they've been a part of and violate their vows and oaths. Prostate, I'm pretty sure, is an organ inside of people who have male reproductive organs that produces various fluids for.
But he's okay. So he's not sticking the thing into.
Man, I hope not.
Okay.
It's a pretty big like bowl. I don't even. Man, would you put it in sideways or?
I'm sorry, you're just far too young. There are things that people do.
I'm no blushing 40-year-old anymore. Okay, I'm 60 years old. I've seen a thing or two.
Understood.
And then she realizes immediately that she's saying all of this in front of Salt, and just goes, I haven't, but I don't know.
I'd like to ask a question about.
Oh yeah, anything to get off this topic, please.
There was a spell that Lovis cast in order to protect Harcourt's body from reanimating.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering if, as soon as I say that, I think I'm going to realize we maybe haven't told.
Wait a minute.
Thessalia, or
he did what?
People like anyone else on the crew.
He did. What did he do?
That he cast a spell.
He did what?
Thessalia, I'm so sorry, but we didn't tell you. Harcourt is dead.
What the
Salt.
hell?
What?
You just dropped that on us now?
How did it? What?
He wasn't Harcourt anymore. Salt and I discovered, and I turned to Salt because I am like hypersensitive and aware of suspicions that might fall upon me. Salt and I saw evidence, and so did Lovis, that he wasn't Harcourt anymore. His brain had been replaced, devoured by that illithid that Pix sent to the Great Reclaimer, and an imposter Harcourt was sent in his place.
And this thing in his brain that killed him?
He was killed days ago.
So
yes.
You found his body on the ship, or I don't understand.
The brain monster, there was a monster in his brain that leapt out of his brain, and we killed it. His brain is gone. It's been gone for days. Really understand it either.
You know,
tell you the truth.
I was telling Thessalia, like you guys were thinking about you guys being my friends, but you tell this news in the most absolute dipshit way possible. No offense, Scraps, but I mean all of you guys. This is news item number 7. I gotta go take a walk.
I'm gonna come with you. And Thessalia leaves with Pix.
Captain, how should I proceed? I will see to the fortifications aboard the ship.
Probably with a quieter beak next time.
We resume. Thessalia and Pix haven't taken a walk to cool off, and Thessalia does like cry on your shoulder for a minute, Pix. But when she has recomposed herself, she rejoins the group. Scraps, you notice that she is giving you a little bit of a cold shoulder.
Who, Thessalia?
Yeah. She then explains, I know that he was out in the wilds past the edges of the safe part of our village, and I know that he had a tower or a study of some kind where he was, learning about the cycle of life and the way in which life taps into the great loom, but I think he also then was doing some pretty dark stuff up there, and that's when we told him that we wanted to be able to see what he was doing, and we didn't hear from him again, and he just kind of took off. We realized then that he took one of our, this holy relic with him, and no one's seen him since. But somebody, you asked before, it's kind of like a very simple bowl. It's some kind of metal. I don't know what it is. I don't really work with metals, but it's about, and she holds her hands apart, which for her looks like, sort of a large basin, but for you guys is like, a dish that's maybe 3 feet across. And she kind of describes it with her hands, and she's like, it's got like kind of like a golden kind of coppery sort of color, and it's got all sorts of like designs on the inside, but then there in the middle there's like a flower, and I think I haven't seen it up close before, but I think it was also made of metal, and I know that it's tied to like the cycle of life and how life moves from one part of the wheel to another part of the wheel, but
Scraps' eyes have lit up, metaphorically speaking, and he says, "It sounds beautiful."
But I don't know how it works or what it does. I just know that, it might not even really do anything special, but it's kind of important to us. And if you guys would help me, I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Do you have a map, or can you lead us to?
Oh yeah, I totally can. It's there's a path that leads to the north of the village, and it eventually passes through some kind of dodgy parts of the jungle, but eventually it does get there. It's how he would come and go.
How long would it take us to get to his abode?
It's maybe like a day walk, maybe 2. Depends on how long you guys take to get your jungle legs going.
All right, well,
We'll need to prepare before we go.
I think everybody could take probably about an hour to grab the junk they need.
Oh,
and
sure.
then we'll meet back here, unless anybody else has got something more pressing to do.
I mean, maybe Scraps can take a minute to prepare to not be such a... What did you say? A dipshit?
A dickhead.
A dickhead, yeah.
Hey, a quick question, Thessalia. What kind of like terrible, awful, very bad, no good things do you think we'll run into on this quest?
Oh man, I mean the jungle's got like, woof. It's got like really big predatory animals, and there's some, like the mushrooms that are around here aren't just, stationary. Sometimes there's a couple of ones that actually like walk around and can kill you and stuff like that. And there's like various kinds of different. Well, just don't go off the path is really what it boils down to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's kind of dangerous. I mean, it's not like, it's not like
How flammable are things in the jungle?
Oh, well, it depends on how dry they are. There's parts of it that are pretty wet, so not that flammable, I guess.
Okay. Mostly non-sentient beings?
Yeah, mostly.
All right, cool. And Wally is trying to rifle through all his scroll pages and be like, not this one? No, need to memorize this one? Yep. Okay, great. And is changing his spell loadout based on the information that Thessalia gave him.
Is there anything else you guys...
I figure that's fair since I more or less just finished a long rest.
I think we should leave in about 9 hours.
Why that long? We should just go now.
We can use the pearls to learn more and be prepared.
And possibly not spend the night in the scary jungle. I am from a jungle, and this is,
it's morning time still. Like, we just woke up, right? So, like, it doesn't get better than this to go into a scary jungle.
I mean, regardless, we're going to spend the night in the jungle. She said it takes a day to get there.
I can also cast Identify as a ritual, so I don't have to use spell slots to use it, so I can identify all our stuff. It just takes 10 minutes per cast. So I can just...
Can you say that in character? It will not deplete my arcane energies to...
Yeah, no, I can identify. If you're worried about identifying stuff, I can identify stuff, it takes a longer time because you really have to bargain with the voice behind the universe. But pretty much give me 10 minutes and I can tell you what any magical thing is now that I have pearls.
Wow, it's that easy. Okay, then yes, yeah. Let us go.
All right, what do we need to know about?
Y'all got 60 minutes. Wally, I would like to know about this rope and this stone that's got etchings in it.
And I'm also going to hand him the metal that I recovered from the space worm.
Okay, so Wally takes each of these things in turn and balances a pearl on top of them, and then gets some twine and wraps the twine around the item, and he kind of mutters to himself and like twings on the twine and whatever, and he mumbles kind of the whole time, oh, voice behind the universe, master of dungeons, tell me what this item is. Now, Julien, you have to tell me what all these items are. We spent an hour in game.
I mean, that seems totally reasonable based on the rules of the game. You are identifying which items again?
I don't know, whatever they told me to do.
The rope, the stone from Harcourt, and the metal that I recovered from the space worm that I am pretty sure is not magical based on context, but we're trying it anyway.
Okay. Who has the rope?
I mean, technically Wally right now.
Oh, Salt's got it in his bag under portable hole.
Got it. So, Wally, your casting finishes, and you actually, you've still got a little bit of this mushroom in your system, and you actually witness as arising from the surface of each of these objects is actually like a kind of expanding, almost slightly translucent box that has arcane text scrawled in it that then reveals to you the formulae that describe the magical nature of these items. The rope and the stone are both magical, and the metal tablet that Scraps gave you is not magical.
That tablet's just a tablet. This rope is a... Julien, what's this rope?
A rope of many uses.
This is a rope of many uses.
And the last one is a sending stone.
Oh, this one's sending stone.
I will read...
Sending stones come in pairs, which each smooth stone carved to match the other, so that the pairing is easily recognized. While you touch one stone, you can use an action to cast a sending spell from it. The target is the bearer of the other stone, and if no creature bears the other stone, you know that fact as soon as you use the stone and don't cast the spell. Once sending is cast through the stones, they can't be used again until the next dawn. If one of the stones in the pair is destroyed, the other one becomes non-magical. So this stone must actually still exist.
This is the stone that we recovered from the... He looks around awkwardly, not wanting to say Harcourt's name, but not entirely sure why. The body.
Yeah, no, they can't hear you unless you actually hold the stone and try and use it.
Oh, thank God.
But he could have been sending, messages to
he definitely was. Did we tell him where we were? I look at Salt.
Talk to him since we got here.
Did you tell him where we were going or where we were now?
I don't even know what this planet's name is myself, so...
I only said a safe place that Thessalia knew of.
I said Thessalia's place.
Thessalia? Did he know the name of your planet? Or did he know that this would be the place that would be safe for you? Did Harcourt know that? And he winces after saying the word Harcourt.
He knew where I was from. I don't know if he was paying attention when I told him or not. He's never been here, but I mean, I don't know.
Let's go get the prostate and get out of here then.
I will also read the description for the rope of many uses.
I wish I had the text because,
I linked it in the the chat.
Oh, there it is.
It says, for those of you listening at home, this 50-foot length of silk rope weighs 3 pounds and can hold up to 3,000 pounds and is knotted in 1-foot sections. If you hold one end of the rope and use an action to speak the command word, the rope animates. As a bonus action, you can command the other end to move towards a destination you choose. The end moves 10 feet on your turn when you use the first command, and it moves 10 feet on each of your turns until reaching its destination, up to its maximum length away, or until you tell it to stop. You can also tell the rope to fasten itself securely to an object, or to unfasten itself, to knot or unknot itself, or to coil itself for carrying. If you untie 1 foot of rope from the main section, it functions as a rope of mending and is consumed upon use. If 25 feet of rope are untied, it allows the wielder to cast Rope Trick. The footage is consumed as part of the spell. The rope has an AC of 20 and 25 hit points. It regains 1 hit point every hour as long as it has at least 1 hit point. If the rope drops to 0 hit points, it is destroyed. Every 2-foot section represents 1 hit point, and removing sections decreases the maximum HP. When the HP is regenerated, new sections grow to replace those lost. Essentially, it's a 50-foot rope tied in 1-foot sections. You can untie a foot-long section, and it is used as a rope of mending, which means you tie it around an object, and it casts the mending spell on that object. If you take half of its length, 25 feet, you can cast it into the air and cast the spell Rope Trick, which means that an extra dimensional space opens up in the air above you, like a Looney Tunes hole, and you can climb the rope up into it. 8 people can fit in it comfortably, and you can pull the rope up after you, so it's actually a hidey hole where nothing can get to you. The rope regrows those parts if you let it sit long enough, because it has a certain number of hit points that are decreased every time you untie a section of it, and so it is a rope, and it also functions as a rope of climbing. So you can verbally command it to move places and tie itself so that you can climb it.
My question of this sending stone is, who holds the other one? Is it the Illithid or is it someone else?
You want to ask?
Well, there's no one to... no, not really.
I mean, you can ask just to hear. Just whisper into the sending stone. Say, hello, who are you?
I'm thinking we should throw that thing in the bottom of the ocean.
I mean, it's still worth a pretty penny, regardless of who's got the other one. Anyway, we got to meet at the gate so that we can get on with
I have a question.
Jungle trek before it gets dark.
Why aren't we taking the ship? Anyone? Let's go walk through dangerous jungle instead of flying over to the top.
You can. I mean, The only thing is, I've never actually like been there from the air, so I can probably get us like in the right direction. But we'll have to walk at one point because I don't know how to find a place under jungle canopy from the sky.
It'll still cut off some time though, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a slog.
Okay, well, let's do it. Pix, are you back yet?
Yeah.
Hey, can we figure out how to land that ship? Because, like, getting back on it was a real nightmare the other night.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's going to be a real nightmare getting back on now. I mean, granted, I have this magical rope, which is fantastic, but figuring out, like, maybe you could get the branches to, like, weave themselves underneath it and just, like, cradle it or hold it or
I can definitely try. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really appreciate you telling me this idea, not like a dead captain, you know. But yeah.
Boy, that's
what? Okay.
What? I'm sorry. Did I say something excellent? I must have said. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just say stuff. It just slips my mind.
No, maybe you just dropped a truth bomb on him.
Oh, she fist bumps
on our captain.
All right. Well,
Salt is the captain now.
Salt walks away.
Salt, as you walk away, do me a favor and roll a wisdom save, and it is at -10. So whatever your result is, subtract 10 from it.
Yeah, -7.
Cool.
Salt walks away.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys need to do? I'm gonna go and set up some food and stuff because I can get into the kitchens real quick and make us some trail snacks.
Salt's not there.
Pix, do you want anything? You got mushrooms.
No. I mean, no.
No, not like hallucinogenic ones. I mean, for eating.
I mean, I'll eat what I can eat. I get this crappy rations if worse comes to worse.
Oh, we've also got this thing where there's these fruits. I don't know if you have them on dirt, and they grow like in these bunches, and then we put them out in the sun and they dry, and then we have these like nuts that grow underground, and we take the shells off of them and we mix them together. And we call it deliciously excellent raisins and peanuts, or derp.
Yeah, peanut butter. We have that. And
butter.
I'm from Earth.
You put butter on your peanuts? That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Why do you put butter? Do you put mustard on your apples? Oh man, dirt's a crazy place.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Earth.
Earth. Yeah.
Earth. Oh man. Pix, if you ever get back to Earth, can I come with you and see your town?
Yeah, of course, but I don't know how they'll react to you.
Oh, because I'm so young. Right. You don't have people who do magic. That would really throw. I'll just keep it on the down low. I won't do any magic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. She trundles off and she goes back into the longhouse where the communal kitchens are. Salt, you and Pix head back to the ship, right, to move it?
Kind of a cold walk back.
Yep.
It's a chilly, you're definitely getting a cold shoulder.
Who, me or her?
You.
I'm walking ahead of her because I walked away when she was like.
That's true. He did walk away. He full on Sean. He full on Adam'd.
Mm-hmm.
Scraps is walking back then, and he will say to Pix, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were so close to the body.
What? Are you seeing the captain?
Yes, exactly. The captain. He looks around like I got in trouble the last time I mentioned the captain, so I don't. Yes, Captain Harcourt. I didn't know you were close. I didn't know you were close to him. I'm sorry.
I wasn't.
I should have been more sensitive.
Captain was a legendary asshole, but I just kind of thought we were a crew.
We were.
Well, thank you, Scraps. I appreciate that. I think you're the only person on here besides Thessalia who ever said, "I'm sorry."
Oh. Well.
It means a lot. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Eventually, you bring the ship down to a more reasonable height, making it easier to board. Eventually, you reconvene. The rest of the crew gets aboard the ship, and Thessalia joins Pix at the helm and starts kind of directing her in vague directions of like, oh, it's north, and I know that the pathway starts down there, and it goes kind of wavy this way, and I know that there's a river, and she kind of like fumblingly gets you. So you are going to roll just a quick spell jamming check for me with advantage because she's helping you to see how off target you guys end up being. Boom.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay, yeah, that's a 17. So all of you watch as the Spelljammer gently lifts its way off of the ground. The wind picks up as you come over the trees, and you get to see a panoramic view of the small village that you've been spending the night in as people begin to wake up and go about their day. The massive tree that sits in the center of it, you begin to skirt around it with it at your port side, and eventually make your way to, you can see a kind of thinning of the jungle in this northern part, but then eventually the canopy becomes incredibly dense. It is almost an impenetrable floor of green that slowly rolls underneath the Spelljammer. You do see as you're starting to like roll across this green carpet of jungle canopy, there's spaces here and there where like there's holes in the canopy, and if you look over the side, you actually see that there's like massive toadstools or like these huge fluting kind of tube-like fungi that grow in clusters, and they almost look like bellows coming up out of the ground. And it's actually quite peaceful and beautiful, and very comfortable. You're on your ship, and you could have been hiking this whole time instead. Eventually, Thessalia's like, okay, I think we're kind of in the right place. Maybe? Sort of? It's sort of hard because all of the jungle from above looks kind of the same. It's all green, and then more green. But I think this is as far as I go when I've had to walk in this direction. So I think this is the right place.
All right, Captain Salt, do you want me to lower the ship, you're saying?
Yes, please, Miss Pix.
All right, I'm going to lower the ship.
You bring it down. Are you going to like bring it through the canopy? Because it's basically unbroken greenery underneath you.
Yeah, Pix just goes straight down.
Oh, seriously?
Mm-hmm. She's a 16-year-old. She didn't know what she was doing.
Okay.
Rip my ship.
Say, Captain, as we approach the trees. Captain!
Yeah, so all of you are like, oh, the ship starts decreasing, descending. And then you start to hear like, as branches are snapped off and broken, and you actually at one point hear, and something shudders in the ship.
No!
What?
Don't break my ship!
You wanted me to do this!
Don't break my ship!
The ship takes 8 points of damage as various pieces of sharp, broken off branches smash through the hull here and there. And yeah, you're now like nestled in the canopy of these trees. There's branches that are scraping up over the sides. Leaves and litter have fallen down onto the deck. You're like, you basically ran aground on the treetops, and you are now in the boughs of the trees of this jungle, stuck, because you also have like giant sails that are now like enmeshed and jammed among all of these the crowns of these trees.
What? You're mad at me?
No.
What? I was doing what you told me to do. You have no right to be mad at me after what you holding on to Captain Hardcore information.
The snapping noises, the breaking of wood, all of the noise fades in the jungle, and you're left as the noises begin to filter back because it became dead quiet after the ship made this huge crash. But you start to hear things like and strange jungle life is returning to the area, and you can hear all of these calls and responses from creatures who are undetectable to the eye right now, but are clearly present in the jungle with you.
All right. Wally is MIA.
Wally is. Yeah. All right. Well, if I just rewrite this part of the equation right here, and that's that could be
Can we get some featherfall, maybe? I've got a rope for this now. Let's use the rope for this now. All right. I set up the rope so that we can all descend onto the jungle floor. Hopefully, it is not more than 50 feet below us.
Not after what Pix did.
You're welcome.
You get down to the forest floor. It is hot. It is humid. There are massive roots that wend their way across every available part of the ground. It is like banyan trees on steroids. There are massive interlocking and overriding roots in every single direction. And most of the trees are either growing some form of fungus on them or have big patches of kind of interweaving and interlocking colorful molds that grow up the sides of them and reach up into the tops. This is very much a still part of this fungal ecosystem that you guys left behind in the village. Thessalia eventually slides down on the rope next to you. Oh, all right. Well, let's see. The path was back that way, and I think it's like sort of in that direction, if I'm right. And yeah, it's like over that away, pretty much. I guess. I hope.
All right, lead on. As we go, I'm going to start marking trees with my dagger.
Thank you for emphasizing it. You begin to march. Thessalia kind of checks trees as she goes, and she like, oh, I'm pretty sure this is the right way. And you are marching your way through this verdant, beautiful jungle. As you get further and further away from your crash site, there are just a cacophony of these like high whistling calls that kind of like in every direction. I would like, if you guys don't mind, to give me a group survival check.
Not too shabby. Oh,
Wally's going to turn that into a 10.
You don't, and this is an average out thing. You don't, Josh. I'm gonna before you decide to.
I got a 10 and 11 for portent today. That's rarely going to be useful, so I'm going to use it now.
Okay.
Can I do it at advantage with my homunculus?
You cannot.
Okay, I am also wondering. Oh, I want to ask Thessalia what those sounds are that we're hearing.
Oh, the whistles. I'm pretty sure they're tree frogs.
Oh,
they're like they look a little bit like they've got like kind of like eyes up on top, and they live in the water and also on the land. Do you know what a frog is? They start out as tadpoles, Scraps, and she stops for a second, and she finds on the ground there's like a fairly large flattish stone, and she kind of like scrapes at it, and she like you see her like busily scratching at it for a second, and she goes and she holds up the flattish stone. She goes, they look like this, in case there's a confusion. And there's like a drawing of kind of like a wormy tadpole thing. This is what they look like. Just in case there's any confusion, Scraps, they don't look like other things. They look like this.
Are you making a joke? I don't understand.
Oh, well, not a very good one, apparently, and she tosses that.
Did Thessalia see my anime worm?
Yeah, you did that in front of everyone.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Thessalia was there too. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Thessalia. So worms that don't have.
Yeah, but these become tree frogs, and they're just
worms that can't smile.
They're just singing. They're pretty beautiful at night when you can hear them from the village. It's really calming. They're really pretty.
I thought it was funny.
Thanks, Pix. Yeah, your collective survivals. There's a couple of times where you hear like a crackling in the forest, and you immediately all freeze, and then it passes along, and then you continue, and your journey continues without issue, until eventually you reach a cliff face that is and this is just for flavor.
Whoa!
I'm not going to drop you guys on that map. It's just really cool. I'm also going to plug the creator of these maps, who has very graciously put them up on Reddit for people to use in general. You can see in the bottom left the Patreon for Stained Carbon maps. So if you really like some of the stuff that you see in our show or on our podcast, Stained Carbon is really cool. He puts a lot of his stuff, I assume it's a distribution, puts a lot of really cool maps out there to use for free, but also has paid content if you want to throw them some money to get access to really well done, very cool, very imaginative D&D battle maps.
It's funny because our DM is talking as though Stained Carbon has like sent us money to place this advertisement.
Nope.
That hasn't.
They gave us a
clear,
beautiful fucking
that hasn't
map
happened.
to kill fantasy beings on.
This is our love
I'm
for
grateful.
Stained Carbon is pure, is what we're saying.
I got this completely for free, and I thought,
Our
hey,
love
you know
is
what?
pure.
I actually have the ability to thank this person for doing what they did. And we're not even, we didn't end up needing to use this for a battle map. We will use another one of Stained Carbon's battle maps later on, but I just wanted to show this off and send a little bit of love that person's way, partially to alleviate the guilt from me absolutely just using this with no kind of consequence. All right. But it is a large, as you can see, a massive cliff of these kind of, that is reachable by these trees that have actually been leveled, like creating these steps up with these massive shelf fungi that create steps up to a cliff that towers up above you guys.
Are we on the cliff up top, or are we down below?
You are down below.
Holy shit.
So I'm going to ask you guys how you would like to get up the side of the cliff. We've kind of done skill checks like this before, also in Barovia. If everybody can just contribute a way that their character is helping everybody to get up the cliff, we're going to be kind of counting an average of successes to see how well everything goes, and if there's any conflicts or consequences up the way.
Scraps is definitely going to be using tools. I can say that. Absolute certain. There will be tools involved. Probably even a tool check, I might add. Probably. At DM's discretion.
No, I definitely think that Scraps is definitely a tool of some kind.
I can carry Wally.
That's what Pix thinks.
Yeah. All right, so if anybody has a move that they would like to make, if anybody is ready, they think that they know what skill check they want to make, go ahead and let me know.
Can I use a spell?
Absolutely. A spell will basically be an automatic success depending on how you're using it.
Well, you might make me make. All right, I want to, since Wally's becoming the webmaster, apparently, as far as utility spells go, I want to try and reshape web yet another time. And so we're like climbing this whole thing upwards, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like a zigzaggy path. There's shelves and levels to get up.
Okay, so Wally wants to use the web spell to, since he has the arcane thing that lets him go thwip and cast a portion of web. I want to thwip to create sticky handholds that we can use all the way up this.
Great. Go ahead and roll for me an Arcana check, just to see. Yeah. It's getting easier and easier as you do this because you've been successful so many times now.
Okay, and it's okay.
Yeah, no. It was you're fine. The check was 10 because you've succeeded now, like doing this like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Wally makes the arcane gesture and streams of white light coalesce into forming these strands that stick to the side of this this first level of this like first giant stump here that's I'm not on the map, I'm on the shared screen up here, making this long almost like kind of zigzagging pattern that goes up the side of it. Cool. And yeah, you guys, it's almost trivial. It's almost harder to not climb it because just touching your hands to it is enough to stick. And so the group easily climbs their way up that first leg.
So gross.
Right. No, it's just web. You can use it to stop enemies. You can use it to climb mountains. You can use it for emergency exits from crashing vehicles. It's great.
So when we get to the top, Crow, you can see Crow just licking the back of his paws and goes, "This is awful," and just climbs up to the next level.
Why would you taste it? Like, why would you ever try and taste that?
Because it's between my paws.
Crow.
Wash your hands like a normal bipedal creature. Oh my god.
Crow, where are you? Which part are you climbing? Are you climbing up this kind of central area right here?
I can't. Since I can't ping that map, I'm assuming we're trying to get to the central area to the left. So I'm heading.
Got it. Yeah, that's what I figured. Roll me an acrobatics check. It's a pretty low DC because you have a climbing speed.
I will happily take a 24.
A 24. You guys watch as Crow just kind of almost casually strides over to the next section and just takes a step off of the edge and catches himself on the next tree trunk, and then deftly and swiftly clambers his way up. He does it with style and panache, as he does in many things.
Which point I will take rope out of my backpack because I have 50 feet of rope, tie it off, and toss it.
Who doesn't have 50 feet of rope?
Exactly.
And then another leg of the journey completed. People are helped up by those who are physically stronger, and in general, everybody is aided up the rope. There are now, you're right here, there are 2 more sections to clear. Who else is going to help out with this?
So there are probably some sticky spots, and Scraps is going to use his tools to assemble probably some kind of rope, pulley system, strategically placed ramps that are bolted into the rock. Basically, whatever is necessary to overcome. He's going to use a combination of his tools and also his ingenuity and problem solving for this kind of situation to devise some purpose-built structures that will help the group to climb and gain footholds where there otherwise would be no footholds, for instance.
So go ahead and roll a Tinker's Tools check for me. And use your... I'll give it an intelligence.
I think that's a very fair choice.
Your highest stat? Sure. With a 24, another 24. It does strike you as amusing as you use your tiny little hammer to get a python over here and to
some carpenter's tools would have been much better, but they would have taken an hour to make.
then you're stretching this, you've got a piece of broken off wood over here, and there's a little piece of metal that you had from somewhere else, and it suddenly strikes you that you are building this as scraps from scraps, and easily help your crew to, with this kind of ramshackle jerry-rigged staircase, eases their climb and make it to the next level. There's one last section. Who would like to helm that?
That's why they call me Scraps.
When I was in the girl, I took Girl Scouts, and I can navigate, I can look up these passages, see some of the best ways to climb because Girl Scouts. Yeah.
All right, go ahead and give me Girl Scouts. Give me a perception check.
I was kind of thinking nature, right?
Oh yeah, give me a nature check.
Because I was there.
All right.
Yeah, that's a 19. Whoever, I'm gonna have Salt do it because his physical stats are probably better. Salt, go ahead and give me an athletics roll with advantage since Pix is kind of calling out as a spotter to you.
Over there, up there, yeah. No, not there.
With advantage.
Salt. A 7 and a 19.
Better. And then Salt, having mantled the top of it, is able to lower a rope down to everyone else, and you successfully get to the top. No complications. Nobody fell and got horribly wounded or injured or anything like that. So that's awesome. Good job, guys. Thessalia at the top is like, oh wow, this is pretty high up actually. I'm kind of glad that nobody plummeted over the side to their horrible injury. That would have been really bad.
Can we see the Spelljammer from here?
From here you can actually see that there's thinning of the canopy just at the level that you're looking, and you can see off in the distance there's just a tree that doesn't match all of the other ones because it's deciduous and the other ones are all like have a much more tropical vibe, and you just can see the like one tree kind of gently shifting back and forth as the Spelljammer is rocked in the cradle of these trees that you smashed into picks. So you're pretty sure that's it.
I'm going to make a mental note, kind of looking around landmarks based upon where we are on the top of this cliff to eyeball where the ship is when we need to get back. Excuse me.
Got it. You continue on for a little while longer until you eventually reach this area.
A new map.
And I'm going to put you
It's a map.
It is a map. And I'm going to put you all on it, actually. You push through this kind of like heavy vegetation.
We plug on through.
And you are greeted by this large open space. A lot of the foliage has been cleared away, and you are in a large clearing with vibrant, beautiful plants in every direction. And also the fairly large skull of some titanic beast that has died. And you do see here and there that there are actually other bones kind of like scattered here and there, largely animal bones, you know, kind of
a faint aura of menace pervades the air.
Here and there, yes. But it is also vibrantly beautiful. The dappled sunlight kind of is just cascading through. Actually, it's been a little bit longer, so it's no longer, it is no longer this time of day. It's a little bit later. It is getting towards sunset. The path south, you can see that there are sort of multiple tiers. There's these ramps that kind of go down, and you can see off in the distance, in the far southern part, you can see that there is a clearing and this like pile, this like hillock, like basically a small mound in this clearing that is a kind of like a collection of these very finely gilled upturned mushrooms that are just clustered in this one little spot in the far south portion, 2 tiers down from where you guys are. Thessalia looks around and goes, yeah, I've never actually been this far before. Like I've never actually gone to the Apostate. His I don't even really know his name. I just, you know, I know that he was the one of the priests in training, and then I was told to never like refer to him by name again, which was okay because I think I like met him and he told me his name, and then I was like, oh, I forgot his name, but then it's been so long, so it's be kind of rude to ask him what his name is because I'd have to admit that I forgot it in the first place.
Perhaps we should have gotten more information.
Oh yeah, my uncle wouldn't have helped us. He was being kind of Pix, what did you call him?
Did I call him a dickhead or a prick?
Oh, you called him a prick. Yeah, she called him a word for a penis, which is pretty funny actually. Because you know he's got the trunk, so it's like it's very phallic. I mean, I do too. Yeah, no, I do too. Just as I said that, it really came back to bite me. But my trunk is feminine and dainty, and his is. Can we change topics? Anyway, I've never been here before.
I'd like to look at that. The giant. What a magnificent animal that must have been. It must have been enormous. Thessalia, do you know what that was?
Oh yeah, there's some really big animals that live in the jungle. We like kind of don't come out this far that often because they definitely do exist out here and they're kind of dangerous. I'm actually really glad we didn't run into any while we were traveling. If we'd stayed overnight, the likelihood of it would have been a lot higher. So recommending that we take the Spelljammer was actually a pretty good idea.
So do you think we are close to the Apostates?
I mean, I've never examined the Apostate up close before, but I'm pretty sure that this is where, you know, this is like how you get there. I mean, I know the path goes here, and this clearing is not, I mean, really natural. And you look around and you actually see, like, yeah, this has been cleared, and it is starting to kind of overgrow back again. Like it's this has been tended to, and now someone has, like, it's not being tended to anymore. You can see areas where like dead plants have been cleared away and moved off to the side, but now like fresh vines are starting to grow across the forest floor again.
Can I make a perception roll to see if there's any place that looked like it could have been used as a habitation?
Go ahead.
I think I got nothing.
It's really dense jungle. You can see, I mean, this is like very clearly a corridor has been made in this jungle that is otherwise incredibly thick. And at the end of it, you can't really see much because it's just, there's hanging boughs and there's vines in every single direction. It is also, you're a tabaxi. Your senses are overwhelmed. Your ears are constantly flicking and swiveling as you hear a branch crack over there, and you know the of a frog way off in the distance, and the smells of pollen and decomposing plant material and something sweet and sticky like some fruity smell and hot, humid. Your fur is like damp. This is you're overwhelmed, kind of from a sensory standpoint. So you're having a hard time picking anything out at the moment.
Fair enough. Because that was a really crappy roll.
It was a terrible roll.
It was a terrible roll.
In fact, it was a natural 1.
It was the most bad roll you can make.
It was. It was indeed.
What are you guys doing?
I would like to stealth and scout around.
Okay. Which direction are you heading?
South.
You're headed south. Okay. Go ahead and roll stealth for me.
That 20 for a 28!
You feel pretty hidden to the point where even your friends, as they're standing next to you, they're like, what do you think about this salt? And you are a ghost, man. Yeah, you wend your way south, you begin making it, you see that there's kind of like a small cliff here where a ramp has been constructed out of dirt and roots to connect the tier that you're on to the tier down below. You're able to see pretty clearly that it's uninhabited. You hear jungle noises. You maybe see buzzing insects filling the air and a couple of gnats or small unidentified flying things, but it's an empty space. You do see, as you're getting closer, there are a couple more animal bones here and there. Some smallish leg bone, maybe belonging to some sort of terrestrial four-legged predator type thing, or maybe a small prey animal, but nothing out of the ordinary in a jungle.
I'd like to make a tool check.
You are still a tool.
You check and you're still a tool. Damn it!
Well, seriously, folks, I want to use my alchemical tools to. There's probably like feces around here in the soil. Like I can take soil samples. Maybe I can learn something about the local flora or fauna that way.
I don't know, dude. Soil samples take about 3 weeks to come back. I'm speaking from
This is magic. We're in magic land.
You can take samples to work on later when you get back to your alchemical equipment, because you're not carrying your full lab with you, I don't think.
Not my full lab, but I have my alchemical tools for the purposes of mechanical rolls involving alchemical tools.
Please go ahead and make an alchemical tool check for your soil samples.
I still say soil samples take 3 weeks to come back, guys.
He is right. He does have magic for this kind of shit.
And it's magic.
19. Scraps, what you immediately ascertain is that there's a fairly high concentration of nitrogen in the soil, which of course makes sense given the high amount of rotting vegetative matter that you see pretty much everywhere, the high degree of humidity. You're seeing also a fair amount of potassium in the soil, probably because there's a lot of decaying animal matter that's around. But this seems like very rich, healthy soil.
Wow, Julien, that was surprisingly accurate.
I know shit.
I know, but I rarely hear my own particular area of expertise. Like, usually when I hear a layperson talk about soil health or farming, I basically want to slap my head, and that was surprising.
This soil is fairly basic. It has a very low acid content.
Call that sweet.
Yep, as you would expect, because there are very few evergreens here. This is a very warm environment where there are not a lot of acid-producing plants. So there you go.
What's that Wikipedia page doing?
Man, I didn't check shit. I did that off the top of the dome. I just know some plant facts.
Fucking plant facts, right on.
Hashtag I know shit. All right.
I know shit.
You can, Scraps, you can collect samples from various things around here, and we can deal with it as a downtime activity when we get back to the ship. Salt, what are you looking for in particular as you scout forward?
Danger. Danger!
You go ahead and make a perception check, which you haven't done yet, right? No, you have not. You've done a
danger sense. A 17 for a total of 22.
You, from where you're at and where you're looking, it is calm and quiet. There's, like, you can tell that you can hear animal sounds around you, but in this clearing, there's actually very little going on. It's very still. It's very quiet in here. And you see nothing that immediately jumps out to you as danger. You can see that there's the tier that you're on. There's the next tier down, and you're able now to see from your position where you're at that further south there is kind of a ravine, like a small chasm, and there is these two natural bridges that have formed where vines and all sorts of woody growths have come out and formed this wide, about 10 feet wide in places. No, it's actually wider than that. It's somewhere between 50 and 20 feet wide, connecting bridges to this clearing that is in the far south. You guys all watch as Scraps is taking a very small metal spoon and is carefully putting pieces of dirt into carefully labeled tubes one after another. Maybe he, cutting a piece of, scraping some lichen, some sphagnum moss goes into one.
You detect the aura of genius about him as he does so. Like,
he is very intent and focused.
Like, this is someone who's basically like MIT level. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's
You're like, rich in esters. You can tell that there's all sorts of organic compounds. The smells.
You can smell it if you're careful, and if you have a sensitive nose, you can smell it. Smell this, he says, holding out a handful of clod to anyone who's pretty close to him. Not no one at this point.
It's got a slight hint of is
that sulfury tang to it.
Is that lime? There could be lime in this soil.
Actually, that would make it slightly more acidic, so it's not lime. You got that completely wrong, Scraps.
And I would know that from my alchemy.
So, as you, is anybody else doing anything, or is Salt kind of spotlighted for a moment?
So, the only thing I would say is I'm so, apparently overwhelmed. I'm going to make sure that I'm actually going to have an arrow knocked and move away from, I want to be out from away from the edges and out more towards the center of that clearing to the south, because it seems, a lot's going on and it's making me very edgy.
Where are you headed? I'm sorry, explain again where you're headed to.
So essentially due south, probably about 30 feet.
I see. You want to be kind of here, right?
Yes. Well, okay. My movement is not quite 50 feet.
It's again, we're not in combat order, so we're not limited to
that's right. Yeah, just kind of there. If I can see, can I see Salt?
Yeah, you can see Salt.
All right, so I just want to be able to keep an eye on him, and maybe if needs be,
Can he see Salt with my natural 20?
Actually, can he see Salt? Sea salt?
Sea salt.
Don't put sea salt in the soil. That's
that's bad.
You'll scorch the roots real bad.
A little bit of extra salt, but can do some interesting things. But no.
You actually don't know. To be fair, you don't know where Salt went. He just kind of you heard a rustling sound. You looked, and he was gone.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the edges of the jungle, kind of edging towards, I guess, the edge of that thing. Just trying to keep myself in the center of all this open space.
Okay, you can actually, if you want, you can come all the way to the lip of the cliff if you want.
That's fine.
Okay. Anybody else want to do anything while Salt is scouting ahead?
I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, you see that there is a strange multi-petaled kind of. It has a body below it that's almost like beehive shaped. It's kind of like a massive. Yeah, exactly. It's got this kind of massive howdad shape to it, with these bright yellow petals that come off of it, and then long stamen that comes straight out and just kind of gently drift in this very still but still present breeze as they kind of flit to and fro. And as you're standing there watching, one of these kind of loud buzzing insects passes by that waving stamen, and it suddenly and wraps around it and pulls it down into the middle of the plant.
Oh no.
And yeah, you're on this kind of terrace section, and you're able to see below you and also across the ravine to that open clearing. Are you coming all the way to the southern part, or are you staying right there at the north?
I'm going to stay here, roughly where I am, until people catch up with me, because I do not want them walking into the Whomping Willow.
Here's an unfortunate thing. Nobody knows that you left because you stealthed and then vanished.
Yeah, I will stand in the open.
Okay.
So that if they get closer, they will see.
So, Crow, you're now able to see. He kind of like steps from behind some of the cover that he was using, and you can see that Salt is standing there, awaiting you.
I just raise one arm so that he knows that I can see him. And I'll keep my arm up so maybe the people behind me can see me too.
Yeah, and the rest of all of you watch as Crow, for some reason, puts his arm up into the air. You guys watch as Crow signals to you. What are you all doing?
I'll walk over to Crow after corking my bottles.
Pixar's going to stay where she is.
Thessalia's going to come forward and join you guys. Wally, are you coming too?
Yeah, I guess Wally's going to go with everybody.
You don't leave me by myself?
Picks, like, we should follow everybody. Picks. I don't think it's good. I get a bad feeling about being on my own in this place. And, I mean, honestly, Salt's a lot bigger than us, and, like, most of them are. And Thessalia is our battle sister. Hurrah! I'm more of a stand in the back and kill things guy. I can't. Yeah.
Now that you guys have all joined Crow, you can see that Salt is up ahead, just standing at this kind of slight uphill section in front of this very strange tropical-looking plant.
Salt, make any other sort of gestures, or are you just standing there?
Just wait.
I'll start, I guess, moving westward and then start moving down the ramp. But I'm not going to go further than Salt. I'll stop about there. Salt.
Hey, Crow.
Yeah.
Look at that plant over there.
It is quite beautiful. It is also quite terrifying.
Something funny?
This is kind of like
watch this.
The Twilight Zone movie.
And I pick up a rock and I throw it at the plant.
One of the waving stamens in the air, the rock passes by it, and quick as lightning, the stamen and catches the rock and pulls it inside. And then a moment later, you watch as the stamen kind of unfurls again, and the rock is thrown out.
Doesn't like rocks. I don't think it can eat the rocks.
I think it would like Wally very much.
I'm not throwing the kender.
Fine. But I think maybe we should not go much closer to that.
Yeah, that's why I stopped. You guys coming down?
Is it safe?
Scraps approaches.
No, but it's not deadly yet either.
So, okay. Yeah. As long as it's not like instant death down there, I'm on my way.
Now that you're here at the lower level of the jungle floor, the shadows are a little bit deeper. You're getting more and more of these gigantic trees on either side that are really framing and really creating a canyon-like effect. You realize that there's no way to get into this section of the valley except from the north direction that you came in through. And in fact, it's kind of naturally funneling you towards that open space towards the south. And now that you're down here, you can actually see at the very, very bottom, at the very southern portion of the map, past that clearing, there's like a natural archway that has been formed by the thickness of the jungle being cut away to create what's essentially like a doorway. You can also see that down here, there's again that like mound of mushrooms that are just kind of like sat right there, like a small hillock that's there. It's slightly different in that, like, this is a very colorful area of the jungle, and you've seen a lot of very colorful mushrooms. These mushrooms are kind of sallow and pallid looking. There's like they're a little gray, rather than the vibrancy of everything else around them.
I will move forward towards Salt, and I can see this. One of these things is not like the other mound of mushrooms down below as well, right?
Correct. Well, once you're wherever you're not, when you're not there, if you're like,
yeah, I'm moving down there. Yeah,
if you're here, you can see it. So this area right here, all of this is actually a pretty large crevasse. Like there's nothing here. The ground is pretty. You actually can't see. The shadow falls across it, so you can't see to the bottom of it. But it looks pretty far down. The only way across, other than just deciding to like straight up leap to the other side, which is a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40-foot jump, which admittedly is also at an incline. Like so, there's some downwards to it too. So maybe you could make it. But these two vine paths are the way to cross that.
I was going to say, before Salt went moving forward,
we're being herded.
I do not like the look of whatever that is. I almost want to shoot it with an arrow to see what happens.
Is that, strictly speaking, wise?
Is it wise to go walking towards it as well? I don't know.
Can't you roll your dice, Wally, and tell us?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Hold on. Give me a second. I got him. And Wally takes off his, his pack, and he starts scrolling through, pulling stuff out. Yeah. Okay, don't have prepared today, but I can cast it as a ritual. Do we have 10 minutes?
I don't see why not.
Okay. All right, I'm just checking. All right, so then Wally, he takes a stick. He goes and finds a stick. He draws a big rectangle in the ground. He looks at it, and he thinks for a minute. And he starts drawing. There's a book and like a threefold kind of line, and he starts drawing little polyhedral objects all over the table, and there seems to be writing utensils on it, and he's making this intricate drawing on the on the ground of some sort of table with a lot of books and pens and writing implements on it, and various bits of paper, and it's very intricate. And then he pulls out his set of carved bone dice with no numbers on them, and he shakes them and he lets them loose. And the question that he asks is shooting that thing more dangerous than walking by it?
The dice tumble and fall. You can, in slow motion, they bounce across the dirt, and they tumble, bounce, tumble. And they land on Wheel and Woe.
Okay, so what I have learned is that walking by it and shooting it are equally dangerous and harmful to our health. And since we have to go that way, I say go ahead and shoot it.
Can't we go back to the Spelljammer, hover directly overhead, and rappel down?
We'd have to be able to get the Spelljammer unstuck first.
Yeah, that's awfully...
We'll have to do that anyway, hopefully.
What's the yardage? I can't see it. It's long. I would move to the edge.
Yeah, so, what's the range of your...
Hold on, I gotta look. It's a short bow. So I would move to the very edge. Oh, Salt, you're going across the bridge?
Yeah, you guys took 10 minutes to cast the spell.
All right.
Yeah.
As you get closer, you are able to see that there is a just massive, like, it looks like not just a hillock. Like there's topography to it. Like it has shape that is not just a rounded hill. And it has kind of this, like, you realize that it actually has a body plan. Like you see that there's actually limbs. It's not just a hill. It has parts. And as you make that realization, it notices you, and it lumberingly gets to all four of its legs and kind of thuds its feet towards you and turns this massive, strange, deformed head, opens wide its mouth, and instead of a roar, a vast hissing exhalation comes out. Just a...
This was a 50 Feet of Rope production. You can find us at 50feetofrope.com. If you like the show, please consider subscribing and leaving a review.